You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Phosphor, who says, "Hey Digi, you've never made a proper video summarizing your thoughts on it, so rant about Berserk. What's your overall thoughts on it? How much of the manga have you read? What did you think of the 97 anime? What about it appeals to you / impresses you the most? How did you get into it? Have you been spoiled what's been going on most recently in the manga? Will you ever make a proper video on it? Thanks, dude. Keep up the great content. Good luck with the weed." Oh boy, I would love to have some weed right now, but I don't. Berserk is fucking awesome. I've read 31 volumes of it, which was where it was at the time. I read it physically because my cousin owned all of it. And I thought it was fucking dank as shit. I enjoyed it all the way, pretty much. The first 3 volumes are kind of whatever, but the Golden Age arc is amazing. Everything after that I think is still good, entertaining in its own ways. The characters are just so well fleshed out and developed and so representative of, like, I think they're whatever they stand for, that they are endlessly referenceable. Like, if I think about the type of character Guts is, I made this video, Interesting Anime Protagonist, once, talking about it. He's the prime guy who's going to come to my mind. If I think about Griffith, if I think about the type of character Griffith is, he is going to be my prime example of that, So it's like these iconic characters that really stick in your mind. And then, of course, beautiful artwork and just such a long, involving story that you get to keep following these characters and keep watching this world evolve and see things, majorly change. And even though, your impression of what exactly kind of world it is does shift kind of as the story goes along, and it feels like you're reading a bit of a different story, or that it's been, sort of retconned and recontextualized, it's still a pretty interesting, build out of the world. And it's also just interesting to watch Kentaro Miura? Yeah, right? It's interesting to watch his him sort of change his mind, I guess, about what he wants the story to be and which directions he wants to go. And the fact that it has always remained so hardcore that it's a story where you feel like, everybody's at risk and anything could happen. And even if the characters don't die for very long stretches and you feel pretty confident that, like, okay, this is the team, this is what we're going for, it's just the shit you've seen has made you like, okay, well, nothing is safe or sacred, and this story is constantly tense because of that. And you're always worried that it's lulling you into a false sense of security, What did I think of the 97 anime? I thought it's pretty good. I've seen 15 episodes of it, I think. It says I've seen more than that on my Mal, but that's because I've rewatched those 15 more than once. But yeah, like, it's interesting because the anime is definitely not as good as the manga because it leaves so much stuff out, and the animation is not always great. But it looks really cool, and I really think that the original anime did a great job of, like, if I wanted Berserk to be in color and animated, this is the aesthetic I would want it to have. And it has really interesting music and stuff like that. I think that the later adaptations, regardless of the overall quality of, like, the 2016 one just being dog shit, the movies, I didn't like the aesthetic they went with. I just didn't feel like it captured the soul of Berserk the way the original anime had done. With its very stark opening monologues and, like, the art style of Shinichi Kobayashi, right? I fuck up his name almost every time I say it. How did I get into it? My cousin was a huge Berserk fan from way back. He had the anime and the manga. Have I been spoiled? Yeah. Will I ever make a proper video on it? I don't know, because Super Eye Patch Wolf did a video on it that I thought was pretty good. With something like Berserk, you always have this niggling feeling in your mind of, like, oh, I have to make this giant video that's going to capture everything that's good about Berserk. And it's like, that's impossible, because where do I begin and where do I end? I don't feel like I can succinctly describe everything that's interesting about it, because there's so many different component parts to it. There's all these different arcs, there's all these particularly special moments, interesting character beats. But I think Eye Patch Wolf did a great job of, like, summarizing it as well as you could in the span of, like, 40 minutes and just explaining in general what is so good about the story. You know, I've thought about making videos about particular moments. Like, I remember I had, for a long time, wanted to make a video about the scene where Guts beats Griffith, and then, you know, when he leaves, and just how good that scene in particular was, and how much it tells you about those characters. But I also feel like a lot of people already understand that, or there's already been videos that kind of touched on it. You know, there's a great video by Caribou Coon recently about the music of Berserk that I appreciated a lot. So I don't know. I feel like Berserk is well covered. It's one of those things where everybody loves it already. And I know that normally what you're supposed to think as a YouTuber is everybody loves this thing, so let me talk about it because that's what everybody wants. And my mentality is always like, well, everybody already loves the thing and knows why it's good. Why should I talk about it if you already know why it's good? But, you know, again, the Eye Patch Wolf video is perfectly fine. Go watch that. And I think that sums it all up pretty well.